Seahawks win in overtime.
He's got him! He's got him! Tyreek Hill! Fournette! Touchdown!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. This is episode number 10, the playoff preview. This episode should be a shorter one than usual because there are a lot less games to talk about, but they are much more important games, so we will go more in depth with them. But first off, I just want to say, regarding fantasy football, congratulations to all of those who have won their championships. This is a very interesting season regarding all the different players and how they all performed. But again, congratulations, and we'll see what happens next year, especially with all the rumors going around with where certain players might go. But we'll see what happens when that time comes. But first, let's start off. We have the final playoff picture now. In the NFC, the Eagles got the 1 seed with the win over the Giants. Then 49ers get the 2 seed, Vikings 3, and the Bucks are at 4 with a losing record at 8-9. Then Cowboys are at 5, Giants at 6, and the Seahawks sneak in at 7 with their win over the Rams and the Lions beating the Packers on Sunday night. Then for the AFC, the Chiefs get the 1 seed. The Bills sit at number 2, Bengals are at 3, and the Jags are at 4. They clinched that division with the win over Tennessee on Saturday. And then Chargers are at 5, Ravens 6, and then Dolphins 7. They got in with that win over the Jets and with that Patriots loss to the Bills. So how the playoffs work, right? So the 1 seeds in each conference, the Eagles and the Chiefs, they get the bye for this round, the wild card. And then the next round, the divisional round, they will play the lowest seed winner from the wild card in their respective conferences. But first, let's start off with the first game on Saturday. The Seahawks at the 49ers. The 7th seed Seahawks will be in San Francisco visiting the 49ers. The Niners are 10-point favorites in this game. The Niners did win their first 2 matchups, though, in the regular season. One was pre-Christian McCaffrey, and the second one was after they got McCaffrey, who ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown. First game was with Jimmy G, though. The second game was with Brock Purdy, who has been playing very good, surprisingly, after having to step in after Jimmy G's injury. For the Seahawks, on the other hand, they've defied all expectations, especially before the season. They traded Russell Wilson. They got a lot back in return. Geno Smith hasn't written back yet. He stepped up into that starter spot. He's led the Seahawks team into the wild card. Their defense has really stepped up. I don't know. The 10 points is a lot for the Niners. They are a very good team, but I think the Seahawks will be competitive. I do like the 49ers to win this game, but I don't think they're going to cover the 10 points. I don't know. Then the Saturday night game, the Chargers at the Jags. This game, they have it as a pick'em. This is the Chargers' first playoff appearance with Justin Herbert. In his, I believe, 3 years in the league, this is the first. They got screwed over last year. They couldn't beat Vegas in that final regular season game. But they are a very good football team. However, as we've seen in the regular season, they have been playing down to their opponents' levels. They've been playing down to their competition. If they want to win this game, they really have to step up. They're going to have to blow out the Jaguars if they want to win. However, on the Jaguars side, which is very interesting that I found, they are in a similar situation as the Bengals last year. The Bengals team that made the Super Bowl run. Both teams were the 4 seeds. The quarterbacks for both teams were the number 1 overall pick 2 years prior. Burrow was that number 1 overall pick, then Trevor Lawrence was the year after. They both got hot at the end of the season. Remember the Bengals last year? They beat the Chiefs in that game last year, and that really got them going into the postseason. They beat the Raiders, beat the Titans, and then beat the Chiefs again. And even for the Jaguars this year, they got hot at the right time. They started off slow. Trevor Lawrence really has emerged. When Etienne stepped into that starter role, he really has been playing well. And their defense too they've been stepping up over the past few weeks. I believe 10 plus fantasy points for their defense and special teams in the past 3 weeks. And both teams have won their respective divisions after coming last in the year before, which I find very interesting. I don't know. I'm not saying the Jags can really make a Super Bowl run. I do like their team a lot, but especially in this first matchup against the Chargers, I don't think it's going to happen. Again, I do like the Chargers' explosive offense, but I think the real test will be the Chargers' defense against the Jaguars' offense, especially because for the Chargers, Joey Bosa is questionable to play. Now, last week, Brandon Staley played all of his starters. I didn't really get it. They still lost. Then Mike Williams goes out with an injury, but he's questionable to play this week. And then Joey Bosa gets hurt. So was it really worth it? I don't think so. But I do like the Chargers in this one. I think the spread, it's pick 'em, so Chargers -1. It's going to be close. I do think this game could go into overtime. It's very unlikely, but I would not be surprised if it does. All right, and then for Sunday, first game, Dolphins at the Bills. Bills 10.5-point favorites. Tua for the Dolphins is questionable to play. Dolphins are a very streaky team, right? They start off with 3 wins, then lost 3 in a row, then won 5 in a row. They were sitting at 8-3, really contending at that point in time for maybe the number 1 seed in the AFC. Then just lost 5 straight, went in that slump, and they finished the season 9-8 after beating the Jets last week. For the Bills, they were Super Bowl favorites coming into the year. They did lose Von Miller on the defensive side, which hurt their defense a little bit, but their defense has still been playing pretty well. And then for the Dolphins offense, you have you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, your 2 very explosive receivers. In the backfield, the old 49ers duo, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. I think Mostert's questionable to play, so if he doesn't play, Wilson will get the start. And then, again, at the helm of the offense, Tua, who has had, I believe, 3 concussions this year, which, from a health perspective, is not very good. He is questionable. Last week, they went with Skylar Thompson against the Jets, and they barely won that. If Tua plays, I think this game will be competitive. And again, the Bills 10.5. It's a lot of points, but I don't know. The Bills are at home too. They're really playing with a lot of momentum right now, especially after that Monday night game. They're really fired up now. I do think the Bills are going to win and possibly cover. If the Bills win, it's going to be a blowout. That's all I'm saying. Bills win, blowout. Doesn't matter if Tua plays. And if Tua plays, the spread will change. So the Bills will cover regardless. Then the Giants at the Vikings. This game, I find this matchup really interesting because for the Vikings, on paper, they're a very good team. The record says it 13-4, I believe. 13-4 for the Vikings. The Giants are 9-7-1, third in the NFC East, which is a very competitive division this year. But for the Vikings, literally every single one of their wins have been within 1 possession, except for this past week against the Bears and week 1 against the Packers. However, the Vikings are 8-1 at home. They do not lose at home. It's hard to play in their stadium. But on the Giants side, they have defied all expectations. Like the Jaguars, really coming in the year, I don't think anyone really thought they could contend for the playoffs. Daniel Jones it's his contract year. Saquon's coming off of an injury. Really a lot of uncertainty with what the Giants could really do. That's why a lot of people doubted them. But after this year, they are saying that Daniel Jones and Saquon might get extensions, which I would give it to him based off of this year's performance. Really stepped up, really letting everyone know who they really are. But then for this game, I like the Vikings just because they're at home. If they're on the road, I think it'd be a completely different situation. Vikings are favored by 3, but with how all of their past regular season games have gone, I know this playoffs is different. I think the Giants cover at +3, and that will be because of a Greg Joseph game-winning field goal, which has happened, I believe, 6 times this year for the Vikings. And then the Sunday night game, the Ravens at the Bengals. Bengals come in at 6.5-point favorites. Lamar is questionable to play as of now. There's been news going around that he's saying he's ready to play. The team hasn't officially come out with a statement. We'll see as the week goes on. If the Lamar plays, obviously, regarding the spread, it will change. Probably be less than 6.5. for sure. These two teams are divisional opponents in the AFC North, so they played 2 times already. The Ravens won that first matchup, I believe it was Sunday night. And then this past week, they played again, and the Bengals won by 16, I believe. So these teams are pretty well matched up. But the big deciding factor will be Lamar. If Lamar doesn't play, I don't think the Bengals win. I don't think the Bengals lose, sorry. I don't think the Ravens will win if Lamar doesn't play. If he does play, I think it will be close. A lot closer than people will think. But the Bengals, I think, will still win. They got hot at the right time, just like last year. 8-game win streak, because we're not counting the Bills-Bengals game. They're on an 8-game win streak. Hot, really hot right now. I'm taking the Bengals. And I'll take their spread too. If Lamar plays, I'm still taking their spread because it will go down, and I think that's a lot better than 6.5. Then for Monday, Cowboys at the Bucs. Again, another very interesting matchup because you have the Cowboys who were really just fighting for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Had a very bad week last week against the Commanders. Really bench players. Started Sam Howell. Really, the only starters that played were some of the wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. The Cowboys played their starters the whole game, and they played terrible. It was really a bad game for the Cowboys. And then the Bucs, they win their division going 8-9. Really bad division, NFC South. But again, when you have Tom Brady in a bad division, you're going to win your division. For the Cowboys, this is the one team I think that they would not want to play. They would rather play any other NFC team on the road. I don't think really against the Bucs. I don't think they really want to play them because you cannot doubt Tom Brady in the playoffs. When it matters, Tom Brady will show up and he will destroy you. Bucs, they're at home. They're 3-point underdogs. I don't know. This is the game where, from a betting perspective, the Bucs money line looks really nice right now. But yet again, who knows if they'll win? Because the Cowboys are a good team. I'll give it to them. But again, it's Tom Brady, and who knows? Maybe we'll see vintage Tom Brady on that Monday night game. But I'm going to take the Bucs to win this one. And then we'll go on to the picks of the week. 3 of them this week. So first one, Chargers money line on the road. Right now I believe it's in at minus 120. Then the Bengals spread, minus 6.5. If Lamar plays, it's going to go down. But if Lamar doesn't play and it stays put right now at 6.5, I'm taking the Bengals minus 6.5. And then Bucs money line at home Monday night. Plus 120. I don't know. That one I'm iffy about, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Just because it's Tom Brady. Who knows? Anything could happen. You never know. They could make a freaking Super Bowl run. You don't know. But those are my picks of the week. We do not have any questions this week. Again, this is a short episode regarding the playoffs. Again, less games to cover. But thank you all for tuning in. A few more days to the wild card, the time we've all been waiting for, the playoffs. A few weeks to see who will be crowned world champions of 2022. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Remember, if you have any questions, you can submit them to our Instagram account, Off the Bench Podcast. Email them into offthebenchpodcast34@gmail.com or comment them on the YouTube on this video so I could see them and answer them for the next episode. Again, hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'm excited to see these playoff games. Thanks.